Good morning, everyone. I hope I am audible to every one of you. So, those who are there in this class today, please confirm by saying in the chat that yes, it's audible and you can see the screen as well. A very, very good morning to everyone and welcome you to all on this day 9 of concept review series. Yes, good morning, Anup. Good morning, Kirtana. Yes, a very warm welcome to you all. And it's day 9 already, and I hope you must be enjoying the series since day 1, and it's unit 9, that means day 9 today. So, without wasting much time, so I can see Santosh Selva, a very, very good morning and a warm welcome once again to every one of you today. So, today we are going to discuss, as it's well evident to every one of you, it's unit 9 today. And unit 9 is diversity of life forms. Yes, we generally consider this unit to be as not so important unit, but yes, some of the parts are definitely very, very important from unit 9. And yes, we expect questions from this unit every season, every session of CSIR. So, we are going to take up a very important topic of Unit 9 and we are going to discuss about that aspect today, and that is cladistics and phonetics. But before we jump into the cladistics and phonetics, I would like to just give you an overview about the syllabus that we have from Unit 9. So if you look at a quick review, and also I'll give you an idea that what all has to be covered. Okay. So I know it's a huge unit wise, it's quite big, but yes, we have to do a smart study, right? So we have to pick and choose the very important, we have to sieve the topics from here, and we have to get ready for our next CSIR examination. So the first subunit is principle and methods of taxonomy. So this include, we have concepts of species, hierarchical taxa, biological nomenclature, quantitative methods of taxonomy, etc. So basically what you have to do, students, I'll give you a very important suggestion here. Please keep a track or just try to memorize the classification of plant, that is plant classification, animal classification, and microorganisms. Just try to learn the overview of the classification of plant, animal, and microorganisms. Because why I'm saying this, as I told you, we are going to discuss about cladistics and phonetics in this unit. So please keep a track or just try to memorize the classification of plant, animal, and microorganisms. So I hope I'm audible, students. Apologies for the inconvenience caused for a while. I hope I'm audible. Please confirm me once again. Yes, that's great. So I was talking about the syllabus of Unit 9. Okay. So I was discussing that some of the parts is definitely very important. And I also discussed that what all to be discussed, like the classification of the plant, microorganisms, and animals to be done perfectly. Okay. That has to be done thoroughly, because cladistics and phonetics are application based strategies that are based, or that will be based on the classification of different plant, microorganisms, and animals. All right. Now, coming to these things, that is another part or the pending part of Unit 9, which we have, is natural history of Indian subcontinent, organisms of health and agricultural importance, and organisms of conservation concern. So these part you can omit from Unit 9, because already these parts will be covered under your don't try to cover all these things again from Unit 9. Okay, so already this would be covered under Unit 10 and 11, right? So now moving on to the major topics that needs to be focused, as the cladistics, phonetics, and there are certain concepts which is related to species concept in Unit 9. Okay, so what do we mean by species concept? So basically now we are going to focus on the phonetics and cladistics part. All right. Okay, so before we move on to it, we need to know about a certain conceptualities regarding this aspect, like before we dive into the topic of phonetics and cladistics. Okay, so what is the species concept? So it can be different. Species concept, under species concept, the first thing which we need to understand is biological species concept. Now, what is this? So, students, any idea about biological species concept? Any guesses? Anything? I can see a lot of you, Jerina, Anup, Sudhakar. So, can I expect some answers from any one of you? So, what do we mean by? I know it's mentioned, some of it is mentioned on the screen, but still, if I can know hear from you as well, can anyone say? Let me see. No one? Reproductive isolation, Anup has said. Okay. Fine. So, according to this concept, let's see. A species we know is a group of population whose members have the potential to interbreed in nature and produce viable, fertile offspring, but do not produce viable, fertile offspring with members of other such groups. Okay, so that is the major concept of biological species concept. So Sumaya says, very good, definitely Sumaya, that can interbreed. Kirtana has said species taxon as a group of organisms. So, thus, the members of biological species are united by being reproductively compatible and at least potentially. So, that is the most important thing. That is its reproductive compatibility. Okay, that is a very important concept of species concept. Okay, so that's very important. Next, we have morphological species concept. So, we have to focus on two things. One is biological species concept, and another is morphological species concept. Okay, so the biological species concept we got to hear that some of you already told, reproductive isolation. And morphological species concept is that definitely something related to morphological characteristics. So, morphological species concept characterizes species by body shape, other structural features. So, why I am taking up these two topics at this point of time? Because cladistics and phonetics is such an application strategy which is based on these two aspects, everyone. That is, one is biological species concept, another is morphological species concept. Okay, and definitely it is well understood that what do we exactly meant by morphological species concept. It is definitely categorizing the species, definitely with the help of some morphological characters. It can be their body characters, body shape characters, it can be their habits, it can be anything. So the morphological species concept can be applied to asexual and sexual organisms, and it can be useful even without information on the extent of gene flow. Yes, absolutely. That means this particular, even when we study about a cladogram, when we get to see a cladogram and phenogram, that does not give us any idea about the gene flow. No, it simply help us to understand, help us to bring about the similarities and dissimilarities of the different organisms based on their ancestral evolution and also based on their different characteristics they bear. Okay. Now, next is phylogenetic species concept. So the first one, what we did, biological species concept. The second one we did is morphological species concept. And the third one is phylogenetic species concept. So the phylogenetic species concept defines a species as the smallest group of individuals that share a common ancestor, forming one branch on the tree of life. And biologists stress the phylogenetic history of a species by comparing its characteristics. That means biological, we got to know that they will be able to interbreed. Morphological, we were able to distinguish the characteristics on the basis of different morphological characteristics like body parts, etc. And now what is phylogenetic species concept? When we are able to compare their characteristics, so it can be a morphological characteristics, and also students, it can be a interbreeding characteristic also. Okay, so this is all about phylogenetic. So phylogenetic species concept is connecting both biological and morphological. So can we represent this as phylogenetic species concept is equal to biological plus morphological, biological plus morphological. So these two together will form phylogenetic species concept, because phylogenetic species concept is going to utilize the variables of biological and morphological species concept. Okay, so yes, Mukesh, you're true. So yes, I'm doing good. No, you're not late, a bit late, but I hope you will be able to get it, Mukesh. Okay, so yes, I would like to announce this in between our session though. We are starting up with our next CSIR Life Science batch, which is Shaurya batch. So it's starting from today itself. So I would say, interested, every one of you, you might no, you can enroll us with this batch. It's a fresh batch starting for CSIR NET Life Sciences coaching, and it will be for the June 2022 session. Okay, so these are the things that you are going to be get benefited by the Shaurya batch. Rate classes by our CSIR NET experts. We have interactive online classes. We have 24/7 doubt solving chat. We will be giving you the printed hard copy study material. And yes, we have all our video backups of all classes. Our classes get recorded. Okay, now, so let's move on to the next important topic, and that is hierarchical classification. So I hope everyone has this concept that what is a hierarchy. So whenever we are studying about taxonomy, okay, like be it for plant taxonomy, be it for animal taxonomy, be it for no, microorganisms, so we maintain a hierarchy, and this is the common hierarchy that is followed from domain, kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species. Okay, why do we follow a hierarchy? That makes our classification much more simpler, much more confident, right? Mukesh, it's mentioned on my screen only. You can see I'm Priyanjana Ghosh. I'm a senior faculty of Biotechnica. Okay, so taxonomy deals with the naming and classification of organisms in an integrative part of biological systematics. And And the named taxonomic unit at any level is called as taxon. These terminologies are very important, students. Sometimes we get questions based on these things, so it needs to be cleared out. So species that appear to be closely related are grouped into the same genus. We all know this. Okay, and normally we follow the lineage system, okay, that places related genera in the same families into orders. So we need to follow these things while we are studying the classification of the taxonomy. I already told you that yes, we have to be well versed with the classification of plant, animal kingdom, and as well as the microorganisms. But please try to focus on plant and animal, plant and animal classification. Okay. Now, so coming to binomial nomenclature, so these are normally some rules and regulations that we follow for a classification. So binomial nomenclature is there is a two naming system, epithet and generic name, we all know. And the two-part format of the scientific name is called as a binomial. Mukesh is asking, what are the characteristics of classification and why do we need to have it? Definitely, Mukesh, why do we need to have it? Because we have a lot of organisms that belong to flora, fauna, and microorganisms. Correct. So definitely, how or why do we classify everyone? It's a good question, Mukesh, that you have come up with. So definitely, suppose if I take an example of a plant, suppose if I say Solanaceae is a family, and we know that popularly Solanaceae include, it's normally we say it's a potato family, but is it that Solanaceae has got only potato as a member of it? No. So it include tomato also, and a lot other members would be there. Okay, but still there is other categorization of orders, genus like this. So why do we do that? We generally make a hierarchy just to simplify our work on the basis of the characteristics. The more similar characteristics shared by the members, they would be grouped as a separate entity, as a taxon under hierarchy. Okay? Yes. So the first part of a binomial is the name of genus. I hope, Mukesh, I gave your answer. Now, coming back, the first part of the binomial is the name of the genus to which the species belongs. The second part called the specific epithet, and it's unique for each species within the genus. So supposedly we all know an example of a binomial can be Panthera pardus. Okay, so we all know the first, it starts with capital, and the second half it starts with a small. Okay, so this is the thing how we do it. So now classical and quantitative methods of taxonomy of plants, animals, and microorganisms. So in the approach, good morning. Yes, good morning, Anit. In the approach to systematics, we called cladistics. Common ancestry is the primary criterion used to classify organisms. And using this methodology, biologists attempt to place species and into groups called clades. Okay. In a very simplistic manner, I would like to give you and tell you that what is exactly is Phenetics and what is exactly is cladistics. That is important. Okay, sometimes we often get confused with these two overlapping terms. Basically, when we say Phenetics classifies organisms based on the morphological and structural features. I repeat, Phenetics classifies organisms based on morphological and structural features. Okay. So yes, I can see question from Mukesh. So we are from science, that's why we can understand. But what if someone asks same question? Mukesh, definitely this webinar will be attended by life science students only, because yes, definitely this webinar series is for the who wish to write CSIR life sciences. Okay, so I hope that helped for them. Definitely, if someone from the outside field listens to it, it will be a bit tough for him or her. So definitely a life science enthusiast will be attending this webinar and listening to it, because this is for the CSIR, upcoming CSIR preparations. Okay. Now, so Phenetics, I was talking about, it classifies organisms based on morphological and structural features. So I can share a mnemonic here. how will you remember what is phonetics and cladistics? So, and cladistics, on the other hand, it classifies organisms based on their ancestral relationship. So, how to remember this? P and morphology. So, when we write morphology, we can remember language. So, phonetics, morpho. That means in this way we can relate that phonetics can be used, or it classifies organisms based on their morphological and structural features. And on the other hand, if we are able to remember one relationship, then automatically it will be clear for the other. So has to be cladistics for the ancestral relationship. Okay. Ma'am, phylogenetic classification can also be called as, yes, Amit Kumar, definitely. It's a classification pattern. Okay. Phylogenetic classification, like normally we have three types of classification. We have Bentham-Hooker system, we have artificial system of classification, and we have APG, angiosperm phylogenetic classification. And APG is the newest version of classification. We generally follow the APG system of classification, and APG has the role of all this. That is, they categorize the organisms based on their morphological characters, not really on their ancestral relationship. So, yes, we can relate phonetics with somewhat of APG, Amit. Okay. Yes, Jerina. Now, so if you want to note it down, you can note it down. I just told. So phonetics means, I hope you have noted down already, it's based on morphological and structural features. And cladistic means it is classifying organisms based on their ancestral relationship. Okay. So now, another thing. Can anyone tell me what is a phenogram and a cladogram? Any idea you have about this thing? Phenogram and cladogram. Let me see. Come on. Mukesh, is there any relationship between nomenclature and cladistics? Not really, Mukesh, because uh, nomenclature is the pattern, like how we are doing the classification. Okay, it's a rule book, we can say, and cladistics is a strategy and application, how we are doing the thing, or how we are able to classify. Okay, so yes, it's not really the same thing. We can say that cladistics and nomenclature will be same, or else we can say that cladistics can be a part of nomenclature. Okay, like that we can say. So yes, Sumaya, graphical representation on basis of similarity or dissimilarity. Okay, you're correct, Sumaya, but you have to give that clarification, dear. That is, phenogram is that diagrammatic representation, the one which we can see in this slide. Can everyone see that cladistic and phonetic diagram? So, phonetics and cladistics is the process by which the organisms are being classified. But when we are representing it, the same thing graphically, then it becomes a phenogram, and then it becomes a cladogram. Okay, so this one should be ideally phenogram, and this should be a cladogram. Okay, so yes, Amit, which one you're asking for? That please explain. Okay, so now that is the difference between phonetic and cladistic, are you asking? So let me tell you another thing. So on what basis this phonetics classify? So phenogram always classify organisms on the basis of similarity. So suppose here we can see that lizard and crocodile has been grouped as, okay, I'll get back to you everyone. Just let me finish off with my explanation. I'm taking up your questions. Okay. So do not worry. I will be answering your questions. So do not worry. Okay. So phonetics is, see, lizard and crocodile has been grouped together, because if you look at their class, that is, they all belong to the reptiles. Okay, lizard, crocodile, and bird has been grouped separately. Correct, because it's class AVs. That means what I told, what on what basis phenogram is going to differentiate? It's going to differentiate on the basis of similarity. So lizard and crocodile are on a similar note. Yes, definitely there will be some differing features amongst them, but still they are under the same group. But bird is completely a different organism from all of them. Correct, so it has been separated as a different class, a different group. Okay, so next is cladogram. So, what does cladogram do? Cladogram say how the organisms are related to their ancestors. So, they will give us an idea about their ancestral relationship, how they have evolved. They are going to give us an idea about their evolutionary history. So here can we see that the pattern has changed for cladogram students. So lizard has been grouped separately, and no, the crocodile and bird is together. That means it's giving us some idea that it might be, students, that crocodile and bird have evolved from a common ancestor, but not the lizard. Right. So that is what is about cladogram. Okay, so now let's take up your question. Cladogram is an evolutionary tree, Amrita has said, is an evolutionary tree that represents the ancestral history. Very good. Yes, exactly so, Amrita. Mukesh, same group of animals falling into the same category. Yes, Mukesh, that is what about phenogram. Correct. If you have no mentioned this thing in respect to phenogram, then absolutely you are correct. So Sumaya, distance gives the info about the evolution. Exactly so. Very good. Very good. So now let's see. So we get this type of questions in our examination, and these things, this lamprey, tuna, salmon, these are here. They have taken up an animal. The example is about animals. So sometimes this might be replaced with plant, or this might be replaced with some what to say, microorganisms. So that is why I'm keep on telling you that try to focus on these things always. Okay. Now, yes. Mukesh, phonetic, I told phonetics is on the basis of similarity. So, what was the previous example, Mukesh? I gave lizard and crocodile. So, almost they are under the same group, I told. Okay, reptilic. But bird is completely a different one from lizard and crocodile. So, bird will be entirely a different category. So, definitely amongst lizard and crocodile, I'll be getting some similar characteristics that will be shared. Correct? So that is about phenogram. So phenogram will give us a very clear idea about the morphological similarities. Okay, about the structural similarities, because lizard, crocodile look like same also. So just try to relate the two species in front of you, will get the answer. So, in that perspective, phenogram is able to classify these two organisms. And bird is under AVs, so absolutely it's a different one from them. So, it has to be categorized separately. Okay. Uh, Now, so in relation to this, I'll come to this character table. In relation to this, we have cladogram, and another very important terminology. I'll just explain that thing and then come back to this. A very important terminology which is called as operational taxonomic unit, OTU, which is one of the important link between this. So this is how a cladistics tree. Now, what is OTU? I wanted to discuss. Okay. So any idea, students? What is OTU? Let me see. Do we have any differentiation? Yes, Mukesh, that is what I was saying. Definitely, there is a big lot of difference between phonetics and cladistics. Phenetics is about classifying organisms on the basis of morphology, and cladistics is all about ancestral relationship, bringing about the ancestral relationship. Okay. So, yes, my question to everyone here, let me see how many of you know what is OTU, operational taxonomic unit. Come on, let me see. Let me see. No idea. Amit is saying Sumaya characters. Very good. Sumaya is somewhat closer to it. So there are different characteristics we can see. So OTO means different characteristics or different attributes. So can you see here A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J? Okay. So these are different characters. Now I'll go back to the slide. Let us see hair, amniotic egg, four walking legs, jaws, vertebral column. And here we have different examples of the same group. We can say reptilic group. Like we have lancelet, we have lamprey, we have tuna, salamander, turtle, leopard. So it might not be from the same group. It can be different animals. So different animals will be sharing different characteristics. Like it can be hair, amniotic egg, four walking legs, jaws. These are all characteristics that are shared by the animals. No, here, Mukesh, habitat is not an attribute. We do not consider habitat normally. Okay. Unit to describe. Okay, Jerina has said unit to describe one species of. No, Jerina. OTU is not about describing the species, it is all about characters. Okay. And Mukesh, we generally do not take up habitat as the OTU character. Operational taxonomic unit is all about some viable, visible characteristics of the different organisms and animals. Okay. Now, let's get back to our topic. We were discussing about OTU, Operational Taxonomic Unit. So, in relation to this, normally we use binary, it's like coding. So, we use two digits here. Normally, we use 0 and 1. So, what are these 0 and 1? 0 means absence of any character. You can note this down, everyone. 0 means absence of character. 1 is presence of a particular character. 1 is presence of a particular character. Clear? Okay. Now, let me rub this off. Okay. So, can you see for lancelet, hair is absent. For lamprey, hair is absent. See, all 0 is mentioned. Are you able to follow? I hope you're able to follow. Okay. Mukesh, try to get it, dear. Habitat is definitely a part, taxonomic part. Yes, we mentioned. But when it is for operational taxonomic unit, we generally don't go for habitat. Okay? Yes, Shilpa. OTU is operational taxonomic unit. It's numerical taxonomy. Very good. You got it correct. So, here we can see that this hair character is absent for all of these animals, but it is present for only leopard. See, it's 1 is written here. So 1 is leopard. Okay. So this is basically OTU which we are doing. It's a character table. And depending on the character table, students, we are framing this cladogram or phenogram. Okay. So amniotic egg. So amniotic egg is again absent for, is present for turtle and leopard. Okay. So like this, 4 walking legs is absent for or till tuna, but it's present for again this. So like, I hope you're able to follow. So like this, we can see when it's the last character we are taking up, that is vertebral column, it is present from lamprey to leopard. So most of the animals, which is the most abundant character shared by, the character shared by is vertebral column. Okay, that's the thing. It's very interesting, I would say, because depending on the OTU, you have to frame the cladogram. Okay, now, so this is an example I have put up. Now let's go on to this, because there are some questions that do come from OTU that I'm going to discuss today. So it's going to be definitely very useful for you all. OTU would decide, yes, we can say that, because depending on the OTU, we can frame phanogram or cladogram. Okay, that's the raw data we can say, because basically OTU is my data and we are making an analysis out of that OTU, everyone. Okay, that's the thing. It's a good question, Mukesh, once again. First of all the kind of units are to be selected, and these units may be individuals, lines, or strain, species, etc. So the basic unit of numerical taxonomy is OTU, and this is how we normally get to see. So here can you see a lot of characteristics are there, like A to J. They are different characters. A to J represent, or A to J can represent different characters. And there are species also, 6 species we can see here. Clear? So this is how it is represented. Now I'll be taking up a problem. What type of problem that we get? Srisha is saying OTU is the connecting link between. Yes, absolutely, because it's linking. How it is linking, Srisha and others? It's linking with the help of the different attributes. It is linking with the help of different characteristics. Okay, like if I want to categorize humans, I have taken 10 different humans, so I can make them different, like no, classify them on the basis of hair color, because hair, eyes, things, these are the common properties that's going to be present. But we can make a different classification on the basis of hair color, eye color, okay, nail shape, right, nose a shape. So these can be the different characters or attributes. So this can also be considered as operational taxonomic unit. All right, now next, a very important terminology, everyone: simple matching coefficient and Juggernaut coefficient. These are the two things that we need to do from unit 9, the utmost important. So we need to focus on the very important topics. Okay, what is a smart study, student? Smart study is studying all the 13 units and everything? No. It's a better way of learning the specific topics. So we have to understand CSIR. How do they give you questions? You have to understand the way questions come. It is not necessary to do entire unit, but you have to do it selectively. Correct? Now, what is this simple matching coefficient and what is this Juggernaut coefficient? Okay, Sumaya ma'am, more the OTU similarity, more it will be. Yes, Sumaya, very good, got it correct. The more the characteristics will be similar, they will be evolutionary related. Excellent, excellent. Mukesh, what if we have more characters? How can we go for cladogram? Yes, absolutely, Mukesh. Now see, it's not about manually doing. We have a lot of software now that we use for OTU. Okay, so when suppose anyone, a researcher is working who is a molecular taxonomist, no, that person is working with almost 200 plant species, and they are sharing about more than 200 characters. So what will you do then? So all has to be done with software analysis here. Okay, so yes, here we are taking up examples with 5 6 characters. But when you are doing it in on a large scale, so what will you do? Is it you have to do manually? No, we have softwares for this. Okay, now, so in this example, let us take this example. Organisms A and B are compared in terms of the characters they do and do not share. And the terms in the association coefficient equations are defined as follows. I'll tell you what is the simple matching and Juggernaut. Okay. So, can you see this is organism A and this is organism B. So what are this A, B, C and D, students? So A and B, A, B, C, D are characteristics. Okay, they are characteristics. All right. So now we have to check that which of the characteristics should be present for organism A and which of the characteristics might not be or might be present for organism A and B both. Okay, that we have to check. All right. So I would say, or I would suggest you can note it down as well. So what is A here? Number of characters coded as present. That means when I'll say one means that character is present. I just now told that, right? That is, 1 means present, 0 means absent. Fine. So can you see here, this A is present for organism A and A character is also present for organism B, right? Okay, now let's come to B and C. So what is B and C? Numbers of characters differing between two organisms. Okay, so suppose differing means we can see here character B is present for organism 1, I'm sorry, organism A, but organism A, C is absent. Clear? So it is differing. Like if this character is being present for organism A, it might not be present for organism B. Or if one character is being present for organism B, it might not be present for organism A. So this B and C are the number of characters differing between two organisms. All right. Now D, number of characters absent totally. Now we are taking on 0. That means D. See, D is totally absent in organism A also. Clear? So now what we have to make out of this? It's called a simple matching coefficient and Juggernaut coefficient. Okay. Which one is best to go for larger characters? Mukesh, you are saying this in perspective of which one? Like, are you talking about cladogram or phenogram? Like, if you can be specific, it would be easier. Okay, so what is this Juggernaut coefficient? So Juggernaut coefficient can be any value. You can note this down. It can be any value between 0 and 1, indicating, like when we write 0, it indicates no overlap, no overlapping characteristics. And 1 means complete overlap. No, when we get to calculate, then you will understand. First, we'll take up simple matching coefficient. So how do we calculate simple matching coefficient, everyone? So can you see, first we have to do the total number of the characters compared. How many characters were there here? 4 characters, A, B, C and D. Okay, so first we have to add up. So how many characters were compared here? A plus B plus C plus D. Okay, now what we have to do? A plus D divided by A plus B plus C plus D. This formula is very important. I would say please note down this formula now. Both Juggernaut coefficient also and the simple matching coefficient also. Then I'll explain the thing. Yes, I'll explain, Mukesh. Don't worry. No, taxa is, what is taxa, Amrita? Taxa means when we say species, genus, like this. And OTU is a character, morphological or structural character. Like when we say presence of hair, presence of teeth, okay, presence of hair. So these are all different attributes or characteristics. Okay. So these are the things. Now, what is simple matching coefficient? So I'll just explain you. The simple matching coefficient is the most used coefficient in proportion of characters that match regardless of whether the attribute is present or absent. Sometimes the Juggernaut coefficient is calculated by ignoring any characters that both organisms lack. So what is the application or significance of SSM and this Juggernaut coefficient? SSM is used in the proportion of characters that match. That means SSM should be used how much of the characters are matching. Okay. And how this Juggernaut is used? Juggernaut is how many, like in which perspective the characters are being ignored. That means in a simplified manner, SSM means similarity of characters, and Jacquard means dissimilarity of characters. Okay, so SSM represents similarity of characters, Jacquard means dissimilarity of characters. Okay, that is the most important thing. In simple words, I'm not going into very detail of the concept. Okay, simply just there are two aspects of OTU. Everyone, students, there are two aspects of OTU: SSM and Jacquard. What do we do with SSM? We find out the similarity of the characters. What do we do with Jacquards? We do this. We generally find out the dissimilarity of the characters. Okay. Mukesh, SSM, we need to have, yes, minimum, because you cannot compare then, Mukesh, and everyone. If we are not taking up minimum two organisms, then how do we compare things? Okay, that's the thing. Okay, so now I'll show you directly no, a problem here. Okay, so the following table shows the summary of characters. Like you can be getting this type of questions in your CSIR examinations. Okay, the following table shows the summary of characters between two taxa based on presence and absence of data. So suppose taxon A and taxon B, like organism A and organism B. Okay, so here some values or characteristics has been mentioned. Okay, so now we have to understand that which of the following represents Jacquard's coefficient and simple matching coefficient. Okay, so just a moment, I'll just get back to the previous slide. Okay, so one thing is we need to understand this, that both coefficients increase linearly in value from 0.0 to 1. And another thing I also told you, that for SSM, I'm not for SSM, for Jacquard, the value should be either 0 or 1. Okay, the value should be either 0 or 1. And I would like to say that again, please note down the formula for this, that is simple matching coefficient, A plus D divided by A plus C plus D, and Jacquard coefficient here should be A by A plus B plus C. Okay, A plus B plus C. Okay, so now suppose here we have to find out that which of the particular coefficient is for Jacquard and which of the particular coefficient for simple matching coefficient. Okay, so now we have to, can you do this? Can you add up? So I am just exhibiting the answer only. I would like to know, take your time, solve this and try to represent. So I told one hint that Jacquard will be either 0 and 1. Okay, so 0 means there will be no overlapping of characters and 1 will be complete overlap. Okay, 1 will be complete overlap. So try to find out. Yes, Mukesh, yeah, I told you, I guess. In SSM or Jacquard, yes, minimum we have to keep two organisms. Okay, so Mukesh is saying it's 2. Amit is saying SSM is 0.6, SJ is 0.5. Okay. Others? 0.6, 0.5. Yes. So when it is for Jacquard, okay, Jacquard is 0.5. That means this answer 0.5, 0.6. How is it so? So we are taking up 40. Okay. 40 means, can you see the characters which are present? That means 1, 1. This is present for both taxon B and both taxon A. So 40 divided by 80. Okay. So these are the next attributes we are taking. 22 plus 20 plus 18. So it is, if it's coming 80, now it's 0.5. Okay. That is 22 plus 20, and now 10, it's 60 here. Okay. So 60 is the total one. So we have to go back and calculate it. So when it is for simple matching coefficient, we have to take the base unit as 100 always, students. 100. Okay. And I told you it's the similarity. So this one, 22, 20, and 18. If you add up 22 plus 20 plus 18, we are getting 60. Okay. So 60 is the total number of the organism, total number of the characters that are both exhibiting matching and the like similarities and the dissimilarities. Okay. So it is 60 by 100. We have to, the answer should be 0.6. That is simple matching coefficient, right? And for Jacquard's, if we go back to the calculation again, yes, that is Jacquard coefficient should be A here. So A means the most matching one. The matching character which was present for both organism A and B, and we have to add up A plus B plus C. Okay. That means B plus C was both, like B and C are characters differing between the two organisms. Okay. So if we just go back and check, so 40 is the matching one, 40 divided by 80. Okay. So we can calculate first SSM also, we can calculate first Jacquard's also. So both ways it should be correct. Both ways it should be correct. So here we are taking up how 40 plus 18. How we are getting 80? 40 plus 18. As I told you, A plus B plus C. So 40 plus 18 is 58 and 22. So 10, 3, 80. Okay. So for Jacquard, we are keeping 40 divided by 40 plus 18 plus 22 students for Jacquard. And for this, we are keeping 22 plus 18 plus 20 divided by 100 for SSM. Okay. And we are getting 0.6. So this is how we have to calculate Jacquard and simple matching coefficient. You might get only one also to get calculated out. Okay. So accordingly, we have to do this. So either you might get only Jacquard coefficient calculation, or you can get only simple matching coefficient. Okay. So in this way, we need to calculate it. Okay. Sorry. So yes, students, that's all for today's lesson. So yes, now if you have any other doubts or queries or questions, you can ask me. Any other doubts? So mainly that is what I told you in today's lesson and session, that we need to focus mainly on the phonetics and cladistics part. This is the numerical aspect that we discussed, and just with this we need to do the classification part. That is totally theoretical. You will be able to get it in any authentic books or any journal or research papers. Okay, so you can do that. And with this, we have to practice the cladistics and phonetics aspect from here. That's it. We have to collaborate these two concepts. So these are the important things we have to cover from Unit 9. Okay, so that's all from my end, students. Thank you so much. So again, we have 2 minutes more. So if you have any other doubts, feel free to ask me here. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Devanshi. Thank you, Anup. Thank you for joining. And I hope the concepts got clear for you today. And yes, please join the Telegram group Okay, today the sample paper question of Unit 9 will be, the link will be shared with all of you in that Telegram group so that you can download it. Okay, so thank you once again. All the best.